Hey friends, welcome back to another video. My name is Lefebvre, and today I'm going to show you how to paint a really cute loose wildflower bouquet. So let's jump in and get started. Okay, so today I wanted to paint like a mini bouquet of really loose kind of autumn wildflowers. I did this really fun wreath recently that has like these like kind of off-white daisy-like things, this like chicory. I did this spread on my own. This was just for me, but I love the colors of it. I have like some dandelions there, and I thought it would just be fun. I've done a lot of leaves recently. Just to do some of those, like just a quick little bouquet of these really loose flowers and show you how to do them. So I'm not going to draw anything. I'm just going to go right in. And we're going to get started. So I'm going to grab some yellow. I'm painting in this Strathmore 500 series mixed media sketchbook, so it's a lot smoother. It's not cold pressed watercolor paper. But what I like about this is it kind of gives some natural textures of like blooms and stuff, but it's also smooth enough that I can add some colored pencils on top, which I have been really enjoying. Or if you like fine liners, you could do a lot of line and wash with this paper too, which I love. Okay, so I'm going to start with this yellow color, and I'm going to do them bigger than I have been doing them. So I'm going to do this yellow center here for this like daisy, and I want some like supported daisies around it. So I'm going to do another one over here, and then maybe another one right here. And then while that's still wet, I'm going to grab some yellow ochre, and I'm going to tap the bottom to make it darker. Actually, tap, tap, tap. I'm going to wash off my brush quickly, dry it, and I'm just going to lift a little bit of that color so there's a slight highlight on the top of these. And then I want those to dry, okay? Before I do my petals, I don't want them to bleed into the next part. Then I want to do this like chicory kind of thing. So I'm just going to grab this lavender color that I have. If you don't have lavender, you can always use a light wash of like ultramarine and purple together. Kind of does the same thing. And these flowers I'm seeing a lot around, and they're kind of like on these long skinny stalks. So imagine a little circle right here is the center, and you're just going to do these really long petals that are not evenly spaced around, going back, and I'm going to try and make some of them lighter to that little center point that we did. And you want them kind of jagged. You don't want them, you know, spaced out evenly. So there's one. I'm going to do another one over here where it's like kind of pointing that way. So you're going to have a lot of longer petals on this side. And then maybe just like little short ones on this one. So it just kind of gives it a different like tilted perspective like that. And we're going to spread these all around. This is going to be kind of like a fun bouquet. Maybe I'm going to do one down here. So there's our dot. And I'm just dragging these strokes back to that center. Again, this is going to be kind of a tilted perspective one as well. Okay. So now I'm going to leave that. I'm actually going to quickly dry these centers because I do want to move on, but I want to know where the petals are going to be placed before I try and place other flowers around it. Okay, so now let's dry. We're going to create the color of the petals. So for these petals, I used burnt sienna and then ultramarine. Half and half makes kind of like this grayish color. And one fun thing about this combination is that ultramarine tends to be more granulate in color, and it naturally separates from other colors mixed with it. So you kind of almost see the separation of a bit of the blue. You'll see it in the palette in a little bit, but it's kind of cool. Okay, so for these ones, these petals are a little bit more, they're thicker than the chicory. Chicory, I think that's what it's called, I believe. And I want it fairly light. I actually don't want it that dark. I'm going to do longer petals on this side. I'm just adding more water. very loosely, and then shorter petals on this side. This is a little too dark right there. I don't know if you guys can see a bit of that blue from the ultramarine, but it looks so cool. Okay, you want this fairly light. So the shorter petals on this side is going to give it that tilted perspective. I'm going to do one over this way. Again, longer petals kind of on this side. They can kind of blend in with this one. We're going to separate them with some colored pencils in a bit. See how the color's separating here? You see like the blue and the brown? I love that about this mixture. And then this one, we're going to have it pointing this way. So I want the longer petals on this side. And then shorter on this side. Okay. And there are those flowers placed. Now I do want some of this chicory kind of stuff over down here a little bit to balance it out. So I'm going to do maybe a couple here. So here's my little point. They're going to be facing that way. So the longer points on this side. And they're not really pointed. I shouldn't be doing pointed petals. They're a bit more flatter, but that's okay. Shorter on this side. And then I might also do just like the side of one. So it's just all coming back right here. Okay. Then I also want to do some dandelions. So I'm going to grab some yellow. And I'm going to do these little kind of like explosions. Kind of like the chicory, to be honest. Of color, just like yellow. All kind of going back to this one center point. And just really tiny, thin petals. Like that. You can do kind of just the side of one here. Like that. I think I want to do one down here. And what's really going to make this whole thing come to life is the pencils after. Like that. And maybe one up here too. Okay. And while those are still wet, I actually might just grab a little bit of green just for these side ones and just kind of have it blend in, do like a little base to it. Like that. Okay, and then maybe this one too. Okay, I'm trying to think if there's any other flowers I want to do. Actually, these dandelions, I want to grab a little bit of yellow ochre and just do like, mix it with a yellow. Just have a little bit of a darker yellow in there. Like that. So it's not all one flat yellow. And I'm just kind of using the tip of my brush and just kind of going around, doing these little lines. Like so. Okie dokie. Trying to think of what else I want to do. But you know what I've been also seeing a lot are asters, which are similar to the chicory, but a little bit different. They have little yellow centers. So I'm actually going to do like one right here, small, maybe like a little cluster of them right here. 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2. And then I'm going to just quickly dry those so they don't bleed into the petals. Okay. Then I'm going to choose a slightly different kind of lavender color. So I'm going to grab my lavender and then a little bit more purple to it. And again, same really small petals going right back to that center. These are asters. These are out everywhere right now in my neighborhood. They're so pretty. And I might even grab a little bit more dark purple and just kind of tap the base of some of those petals like that. This one, maybe I'll just have the long petals on the one side. Grab a little bit of my purple again, dark purple. Just kind of tap a bit like that. Okay, might even add a little bit of pink. Some of the asters are like a pinky purple. Like that. So I'm just going to kind of go back and forth between like the purpley, more purpley asters and then kind of like pinky asters. Just grab a little bit of that dark purple again and just kind of tap it around just a little. It's coming to life. I see the vision. This. Like some of it I'm just doing like little strokes, and then some I'm like using the tip of my brush and doing like little loops. But I'm not stressing out too much about it. I'm not worrying about it being perfect or anything. Okay. Okay. Then I have to kind of figure out where stems are going to go. I didn't really know. Actually, I think I want to balance out another. See, also when I'm looking at my work, I like to kind of figure out what needs a bit more balance color-wise. I feel like I need a bit more yellow over here. So like another dandelion. Like that. A little bit of yellow ochre. I'm literally scribbling these petals. It's a little dark. Okay. I'm like, do I want it all to come back into like a bouquet? I'm trying to gauge how I want to do this. I think I could have it. I don't know. Let's just play and see. Okay. I'm going to grab a size 2 round. Size 2 round here. I'm going to grab some green. I have this olive green here. I'm going to start with these daisies. And I'm going to bring the stems like this. Okay. I might add a little bit of green. Just some green leaves as I go down. Like that. I'm going to change up the green a little, add a little bit of blue. And then I'm going to have another stem. Maybe this one can go to the asters. It's going to break off or branch off like that. Doesn't have to be a totally different green. Like, and we're just going to have little stems coming back like that. Those are the asters. I feel like it needs to be a little bit darker. Like that. Then the dandelions, they're a little, actually, dandelions a little bit lighter of the green, almost mixed with yellow. And they're a little bit thicker. And it doesn't have to be completely accurate. Like, don't worry about it all being perfect. This is not by any means a realistic painting. Now this, okay, something that's bugging me right now. This dandelion stem is too straight. So I just took a little bit of clean water gonna lift that. It does not look right. And it's also not kind of making its way back to the bouquet stem here. See that? It would have to go down this way, which looks weird. I'm gonna let that dry for a second. So just keep that in mind. This, I'm gonna kind of come back up here, although the perspective's a little weird. We can also fill a lot of this in with greenery, okay? But yeah, this has to come back this way somehow. See how that already looks better, flows better? This chicory one is looking a little odd. It needs to be longer on this side. There we go. So it's like it's pointing down. Which I will kind of get to after. Okay. All right, I'm gonna... Now you can start adding some like darker detail to the dried flowers. I'm just adding a little bit of, what's it called? Ultramarine to the chicory. Just some extra darker like strokes. See that? So it has this like nice layered look. You could do that with colored pencils or your watercolor. Totally up to you. I love that layered look. Like that. Okay. Same with the asters if you'd like. Add a little bit of pink. A little bit of purple. You don't have to do every single petal, just like a couple of them maybe. We're still going to add some more greenery and leaves to fill this out, so don't worry if it looks a little bare. Okay. And then I think we'll do that now, actually. So there's not enough stems here for this to make sense, so I'm just going to thicken these up a little bit. And I'm not even really kind of gauging where they're coming from, but I do want it to stick. So all these like little white areas in between some of the flowers, like here, I'm going to add some green, like there's like greenery in there to kind of make it a little bit more dense and full. Even if those flowers don't necessarily have greenery, realistically, it's fine. Okay. Might go around some of these petals and just kind of fill in some of these. I'm going to have one over here. This could just be extra stems of greenery, right? That we have in this little bouquet. And you can even have some kind of coming out the top. And then behind some of these flowers, just in between the petals, like that. Just very loose with the tip of my brush. I actually don't love this one. See if we can fix that. Wash off my brush, dry it so it's clean, and just kind of... Okay. Then, just gonna fix that a little bit. There we go. That's better. Okay. Just seeing where I want to add. Maybe we can add some darker green too. I have this like shadow green. Just really filling it up and just kind of making it stand out. Okay. Then I'm just going to add a bit more here. We're going to let it all completely dry. Okay, and now I'm going to get out my fun colored pencils, and this is where it really starts to come alive. So this one, I'm going to do little circles to add some texture. I just have like a yellow ochre kind of color almost. This is, I think, Indian yellow. Just going to do this all over the centers. maybe leaving a little bit of light space at the top. Then I'm going to grab a darker brown and do some more circles, but just the bottom. Like that. See how it's already kind of come into life? And then I'm going to grab a darker brown, and I'm just going to do these little kind of tiny little scribbles at the bottom, just to make it like there's a little bit of shadow there. Okay, then I'm going to grab like this taupe color, and now I'm going to start doing little lines kind of coming off the center here. And just kind of outlining, not completely outlining, okay? I want to make sure my pencils are nice and sharp. I'm not going to go around the whole petal, but just showing where they are, kind of like a broken up drawing of the petals. Okay, and just doing these like darker shadows closest to the center. See that? Now it stands out. Now it looks right. I'm just going to shade around that center. Okay. Little lines. And I'm just going to do it for these kind of white daisies. Then I'm going to take a dark yellow and I'm going to do just some like long kind of loops, scribbly loops on these dandelions. Okay. With the chicory, I'm going to take some ultramarine and just do these little kind of dots towards the center. These are, and little lines. These are kind of like the center stamen bits. Just making it dark towards the center. I'm really just being kind of scribbly with it, to be honest. I'm going to take maybe some purple. I mean, we don't need to do too much on these asters, I find. I feel like we did a bunch with watercolor, but if you want to kind of, I don't know, outline or give a little bit of texture, again, I'm just scribbling. And then the same kind of center deal like we did with the daisies. You can kind of just shade one little bit of the center of the yellow. So like the lower half of that center. And then I'm going to grab that dark brown again, actually darker, and then just make it a little bit darker right at the base. And that's going to make those pop out as well. See that? Makes such a difference. And then finally, I'm going to take some green, if I remember where I put it. I might do some outlines of some leaves like that. You can even do like extra that haven't even been colored in, just for fun. There's so many ways you could go with this, and just add as much as you like. Like, look how pretty this is. So much fun. And then finally what I would do is I would grab some sort of maybe even this purpley color. I'm going to do kind of like a little knot around these stems. I'm going to do a circle. Like there's a little bow here. And there we go. And there is our fun, loose autumn wildflower bouquet. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on all my other platforms for tons more content. Have a great day, guys. Bye.